Over the 2 decades Oddworld inhabitants have existed, there have been many attempted projects that ultimately didn't work out. While most of these are worth a video on their own, today I would like to focus on one that is probably the most coveted by the community, Oddworld Slickstorm. Both on Reddit and through my 4 years spent on the series' official Discord, I've met many people who fantasize about Slickstorm, citing how it could have great mechanics and whatnot. While I do get the hype, I think a lot of people might be confused or have been misled by the many legends circulating around what the game was really supposed to be. So in this video I intend to destroy this propaganda with facts and logic. No, not that kind. Anyway, let's get started with the basics. What is Slickstorm, and how did it become a part of the fanbase's common knowledge? Well, I am unsure when it was exactly revealed to the public, however, I am sure of who created the idea and who were the main culprits who gave the game its notoriety. Enter Paul O'Connor, a terribly important guy. He is responsible for a lot of the gameplay features Oddworld is known for, and some other stuff. It's a title I made up when pitching a bonus game for the proposed Apes Odyssey Apes Exodus Omnibus re-release for the Sony PlayStation. Slickstorm was going to be a brief game where you played an outcast, albino slick grub that needed to blast its way out of a slick birthing complex. He later also expanded on Slickstorm with the following. The idea was to package Apes Odyssey and Exodus in a promotional box and include a bonus CD with some making of features and the Slickstorm bonus game. The bonus game would have been something like 50 to 100 screens, maybe the size of Slick Barracks from Exodus, give or take. We would have built the game using the Exodus game engine with a few enhancements. Probably no infinite lives, for example. Maybe a couple of minutes of story to tie it together. However, what Mr. O'Connor has also made clear in his post is that Slickstorm is not happening. Slickstorm is vapor. The window to do that particular game has closed about a year ago, and now we are firmly committed to the PlayStation 2. But like I said, that window has closed. We are on the PS2 development now, and I'm not sure we could even revert to the old engine if we wanted to. It's kind of like asking NASA to rev up the Saturn V for a return trip to the moon. It's old technology and our infrastructure no longer supports it. So, after this, one would think that the fandom begrudgingly accepted that Slickstorm isn't gonna happen and move on. However, remember that I said that they were culprits. Unlike O'Connor, this next character was way less clear about the game's status, and to this day the fandom suffers the consequences. But who could this trickster be? The one who sows discontent and lies, this agitator who wants to distract the Oddworld fandom? It's Ulf. Yep, the guy who answers the community questions. You know him. And, like with many things in life, the reality is way less extravagant than what I just set up. In fact, most of the events that I'm going to describe here can largely be explained with Oddworld inhabitants being very unsure about their future. There is blame to be cast on them, but let's not pass judgment before hearing the crime. The story begins at the end of 2000 when someone asks Ulf what happened to Slickstorm. His reply at the time matched with what O'Connor said. We are not doing it. In the next 10 years, Slickstorm was never really in the spotlight, until, due to diligent fans still asking about it, Ulf revealed the following. Slickstorm wasn't so much cancelled as never started. And at the end of this, he said, but as you should know, it's re-entering production soon. This was Strike 1. Strike 2 was the official account of Oddworld inhabitants reassuring fans that it is coming. However, the final nail in the coffin was, in fact, a very poorly timed April Fool's joke that claimed that Slickstorm is back on the menu. Hindsight is 2020. If anyone sufficiently digs themselves into this mess, like I did, it's very easy to realize how this mythical unreleased game was frankly nothing more than a simple idea that was abandoned as quickly as it was proposed. And as evidenced by OVI's recent behavior, the situation hasn't changed a bit. If despite all this you still want to believe, I can't exactly stop you. But the writing is on the wall. Slickstorm is nothing more than a legend.